folks, you know how NoPixAfterDark does. We always look for amazing guests. And one day I was surfing the internet. I came across this webpage. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Who are these people? And I was like, did a little more deep in, like, just, I don't know a little bit more about who this is. This woman is amazing. Runs this amazing company, doing amazing things. I see her jet setting across the world, speaking at conferences in Switzerland, in Vegas. I gotta know who she is. The next voice you hear is somebody who's really, really big out here in the lighting industry, the Metaverse, any verse that goes with it. She's the person you need to talk to because she's doing big things out here. After these messages, Miss Erin will be next on the NoPixAfterDark podcast.
Get a sip of the rye.
NoPixAfterDark is sponsored by Snug Books, an independent bookstore serving Northeast Baltimore and beyond. In addition to featuring new books for all ages, the store also carries cards, stationery, gifts, games, and more. Visit snugbooks.com to shop online, learn more about the store, read our latest newsletter, and find a calendar of events, or come browse the store in person. Snug Books is located at 4717 Harford Road, next to Zeke's Coffee in Hamilton, Laurelville. There is free parking behind the store, and opening hours are Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Welcome to the NoPixAfterDark podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Dante. You know what, folks? I told you I'd get the celebrities on. And I'm honestly, I forgot to get my pen because I need to get my autograph before she leaves the studio. She is doing so many amazing things. I mean, let me read off a couple of things. Just a couple of little things before we even get into it. All right. Miss Erin has been the New York Times 2022 World Economic Forum debate in Davos, Switzerland. Light Spec West 2022 in LA. CES 2023 in Las Vegas. Education 2023 in New York City. She's been expertise and has been featured in publications such as Fast Company, The Washington Post, Quartz at Work, Business of Future, Furniture, Construction Executive, and Morning Brew, Man Report, and more. Miss Erin McDannald, CEO, Environmental. What's going on?
Good morning. It's afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Was that a lot? Oh, no, I messed up. I left something. Co-owner of Lighting Environments also.
That's right. Yeah, I own a couple of companies, and three actually. And one is a lighting company, one is an integration company, and one is a company that builds digital twins.
I want to make sure we get it right.
Yes.
See, because we got to give the people their flowers and say, hey, you're doing amazing things. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This has been in the making for a long time.
I know. We've been talking a lot on Instagram, and it's great to get to know you a little bit better.
And I even did my homework because I wanted to come down and check out your open house. And I'm sure you were shocked when I signed up for it. Let me come down. People are like, who are you? Who's this guy? And that's how I learn about people. And I learn a little bit more about what they do, is be unexpected and show up at a place where you wouldn't think I'm there. So thank you for welcoming me. You and your team welcomed me in that place. So thank you so much.
Oh, we were so honored to have you, that you would take time out of your schedule to come and see our space. But what did you think about it?
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I thought I was just going to see some, because to be perfectly honest, I know lights control a lot of things. The mood, how you feel. I always think about the hospital light. We're just like, oh my God, this is the most sterile light. I can't stand it. But your team took it to another level of understanding that I never knew.
Thank you.
And the presentations that they were giving to me, even when you talked about how you guys have it that monitors the oxygen in the room. There's so many things we can get into, but I was just blown away by how important lighting is. And I thought, lighting is good when you're here doing a podcast, but, lighting is very important.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think it is important. I think it is the matter in the universe that connects you to me and me to the distant stars as well as you. So I think it's a really beautiful thing. And without it, we can't see anything. So light is really important. Yeah.
You know, your team was amazing. So I
Thank
wanted to
you.
shout out to your team, everybody who was there. It was a great time, great atmosphere, and just really the vibe. And I mean, I wish I could stay longer just
Yeah.
to learn a little bit more about what you guys had going on. But we'll talk about your companies in a minute.
Yeah.
We want to invest about who you are, okay? Where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Wisconsin, but I have lived in Maryland half of my life.
Okay.
Yes.
Growing up in Wisconsin, like what things do you remember about living out that in the Midwest?
I grew up in a small farming community. That was interesting, and I went to school at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design for interior design, and my father was an architect, and so those are the big things that had a lot of influence on my life. My grandfather was also a duck farmer, which is odd and strange. And I remember back in the 80s, he had this duck farm, but then he would spend his time flying to Hong Kong and working with the Chinese and learning how to raise ducks in different ways. And he was very innovative for his time. And I had a lot of respect for that. I didn't realize that till later in life, but it had a profound effect on me. Yeah.
Ducks.
Ducks.
Okay. Wow.
Strange, right?
You're right.
I know. But just the innovation in itself to think about, okay, so the culture in China is one that that ducks is part of their cuisine. And so they know how to raise them. So making friends with, years ago before globalization in general, and then spending time learning from their culture was something that really had a big effect on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So went to college out there,
Yeah.
and then you ended up coming to the East Coast.
I did.
All right.
Did.
And so, like, was that a big jump coming to the East Coast? Different from.
I traveled to the West Coast for a little bit, lived in Seattle for a year or two, lived in Manhattan for a year or two, and then finally settled in Maryland, and I became a lighting sales rep. And I came to work for a company called Lighting Environments, and that was in 2003. And I sold lights until I became an owner of the agency I was working for in 2008.
Okay. And so, the interior design part.
Yes.
How does that all match in with the lighting when you started working sales lighting? Like,
Right. Well,
because when I think of the interior design, I think of like doing like this amazing like change of scene and designs and Adobe sitting there on the computer trying to figure out the angles. How does that compare with your lighting?
Yeah, my client became the interior designer, and we would call on interior designers and architects and work with them on their lighting projects for their construction builds. And so there's a big art form to it, particularly in the commercial and even the residential world for that matter. So there's a lot of thought that goes into lighting, and I don't think people realize it. And, there's codes that you have to meet, and you have to keep people safe, but you have to provide entertainment and mood and all kinds of things. So lighting plays a big part in the construction process.
Did you ever think, like looking back, you would be in working with lighting like in college? Did you ever think of that?
Never.
Do you think that was something very important when you studied it?
Never. I took an internship, and I sort of had my back against a wall, and I had to take some internship, and I just kind of fell into working with a lighting designer, and fell in love with it. It was more technical in nature. There was more math and physics involved, and that intrigued me. I had no idea I was interested in physics either, but yeah, but at that time, those things kind of drew me in, and I fell in love. And there's a saying in our industry that once you get sucked in, you just kind of don't come out. So yeah.
No, and you could tell the passion of your team about it. You know, I've even watched a couple of videos where you guys were doing like group activities together, and how it's like its own little world
Yeah.
of lighting and whatnot. And you know, is that something that, like, I always get nervous because when you were like, "We'll come to the studio over here," I'm like, "The first thing to look at is lighting. How's lighting?" Do you do that? Do you find yourself doing that when you walk into somebody's house or a room?
Well, not so much anymore, but I do. Even in college, I have a picture of me before I was about to accept my diploma, looking up at the lights. You can just see, that was a particularly interesting picture that I thought, oh, I guess I knew where I was headed, but I didn't know. Yeah. Maybe destined, who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of passion, and our, our organization has a lot of, it's a good culture. We enjoy it. We definitely enjoy what we do.
Now, how did you get to Maryland? How did you get here?
Yeah, I just knew somebody, who
Okay.
owned lighting environments, and it looked like a great place to be, and it was close to New York City, and at the time I didn't want it to be too far away from my then boyfriend, now husband.
Okay.
So yeah, and I actually thought it was going to be a stepping stone for me, and I would end up back on the West Coast, and I'm here to stay. I love it. I love Baltimore. I love the spirit of Baltimore. It's something to be a part of, especially right now. There's a lot of potential.
I love it. I love hearing that. Then you get the roots here.
Yeah.
You know, you're Baltimore.
Yeah.
You're like, that's interesting. You said maybe in your back of your mind when you came here, you're like, I'll go back to the West Coast.
Yes.
But Baltimore has a flair, has a flavor to it that is different than, very unique than any other city, I would tell people. It's just people, I love it. I love the uniqueness of it. I love the flair. And I love the authenticity. I like how people are authentic here.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
No, I love it too. I think that it has a lot of potential as, it's at its precipice of a rising. We've had some things to overcome as a city, and I think there's a great big group of creatives and innovators in this city that are going to take this city to the next level.
Nice. So, folks, when we get back, we're going to talk about the companies. We're going to talk about some of the trials and tribulations they might went through, and learn a little bit more about them, and so we can really show what's going on in Baltimore that we might not know about. I always tell people we find out about things about companies in Baltimore after the fact. Why don't we learn about them while they're here before they get too big, and then it's like, oh, they were here? We didn't know that. So after these messages, we'll be right back, folks.
When you give to United Way, your gift could be the first spark of something bigger. It can help provide nutritious food for a family in need. Because eating healthy shouldn't be a luxury. It can help someone with housing challenges and be a catalyst for a new beginning. Because a safe space to call home is the foundation for building a better future. Give today. Spark something bigger.
The NoPixAfterDark podcast is fueled by Zeke's Coffee. Have you tried their coffee yet? I'm telling you, there's something different about it. Maybe it's because they roast their beans in a fluid coffee roaster, which provides the most accurate roasting temperatures and made with love. You would just have to check it out for yourself and try their delicious food while you're at it. Open now for curbside service, online ordering, carry out, and they also do wholesale. Visit Zeke's Coffee at 4719 Hartford Road. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 8 to 5 p.m. Kitchen closes at 3 p.m. or visit Zeke'sCoffee.com and you too can be fueled by Zeke's.
Folks, we are back with Miss Erin. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I like saying my name back.
I know, Erin. It's a great name.
It's a great name.
I love it.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
So, you are a co-owner of 3 different companies, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Go over name again.
Okay, Lighting Environments,
Okay.
which is a lighting manufacturer's representative. Environments, which is an IoT integrator, which means Internet of Things integrator. We do smart buildings. And then we have Elevated Environments, which is a software developer.
All right. So let's go down high level. Tell us 3 things about each company and what they do and how a person like you, like me, would like wow, or
Sure.
notice that?
Yeah, lighting environments sells lights. Environments puts sensors and software into buildings and connects it all to the lights and makes it all work together. And elevated environments makes the software to make all those things connect together.
So they all need each other.
They need each other,
I like that.
but they can all act independently too.
So tell the audience this cool thing you were telling me about. I'm sure I was just at this point blown away because I was. You were like, Erin, let me show you something. And you said when we have meetings in our office, I can tell by the temperature, the oxygen levels. Go into that. Just it was really cool how you broke it down.
But what did we learn from our smart office?
Right.
We built a smart office, and what are some of the things that we learned that were interesting? Well, we learned about oxygen levels and CO2 levels in our space per person. We know how much a single person can deplete an oxygen level or increase a CO2 level, meaning we have to turn up the air conditioner when we have more than 50 people in our space so that we can maintain healthy environments for people. We didn't know that before, which I think is interesting, until we started putting sensors in and learning about our environments. We also learned, this was really interesting, and this is a recent one, is that our office is only at 50% occupancy post-pandemic, but we are using 100% of the office during the day. So what that means is it's only really half as full, but people are spreading out and they're using more of the office to collaborate and to do things. So we're finding that, that a lot of real estate companies are using these like people counters to understand how space is used, but we learned that we need to have more than you need several sensors to really understand how space and real estate is utilized. And so that means, what does that mean for me? It means that I don't have to retract in real estate because I'm only at 50% occupancy because we're using the space that we have. We also learned that we've been able to pivot really easily. We recently are having some other companies come and rent desks in our space now to work with us so we can collaborate with other companies while at the same time. So we're kind of changing with the times and able to react quickly because we have a digital infrastructure built in our office.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So did you learn a lot of this during the pandemic?
Well, yeah, we started taking all this data during the pandemic. It was a great time to take data because our buildings were empty. So we got a basis for information of what the buildings look like empty, and then we can compare the data when they're full. So that was a great thing. So we have about 3 years worth of data so far. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Now you said is your office back to 50% right now, or is it? Some people are there, some people are here, home, and whatnot.
Yeah, we have a hybrid work environment, and because of the nature of our company, which offers Metaverse platforms, we're going to stay hybrid, and because we thought that it added a lot to our personal lives when we went home. And I think that we were missing those things pre-pandemic. And I strive to have a workplace that allows the work home balance and to have quality of life. That's really important to us.
Now, you said something interesting back in the first part of this episode about your grandfather, the duck guy.
The duck farmer. Yeah.
He was an entrepreneur, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said something that you can connect the dots here. Was this a sign for you? Because you said you looked up to him. You said that was amazing that you knew you were going to be an entrepreneur yourself and run your own company. Or was that already a foreshadowing of seeing what he was doing and saying, now look where I'm at right now? Was that somebody that you probably looked up to? Said,
Leadership.
right.
Leadership. I looked up to his leadership skills. And he was always calm and cool and collected. I never felt calm, cool, and collected. But I think that most people would say that I'm calm, cool, and collected. So now, because it's something that I admired in him and wanted to emulate, yeah, definitely he inspires me. Still, yeah.
Like, did you ever think like, oh wow, I'm my own business. Like I'm literally, this is my business now. Like I'm running. Was that in the plans?
Yeah. So it wasn't in the plans. I've always been safety oriented.
Right.
Like I've never been a risk taker. And one of my mentors encouraged me to do it, and we did it, and you know, and now it's almost like we can't stop. It's a great high to be on, in a sense that you have your freedom to be able to control your destiny, and to bring joy to other people's lives too.
I mean, I will tell you, this is why it's very important for me to have you on the show. Just being impressed by you, and you know, you and I had talked for a while and trying to figure out how we can connect, and just meeting you guys in person, your staff in person, and just you going up to Vegas, speaking in front of a huge form of people, huge audience at CES. I mean, that's huge. You're going out to Davos. You know, you're doing things, and I want people to know who you are in the Baltimore region. Because again, we always talk about, well, I didn't know. Well, you know, that's why this podcast is the voices of the unheard. Your voice is heard other places,
right?
But we want to make sure we amplify your voice with my audience, so people are like, oh wow, she has this company that's worldwide. She's flying everywhere. She's known nationally, internationally. Like, how does that feel for you and your company becoming like that new kid on the block that's like out there now? From my perspective, because I see you on a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Folks, it was hard for me to book her. Okay, so I had to wait my turn in line. Okay, I had to wait my time. I'm not the tech guy, but what I'm saying is, like, how does it feel that you guys you're on the scene? You're on the scene.
Surreal in a way, because I saw the vision of it, all of it. I saw the vision. So there are some days that are almost like deja vu. Like I dreamt this day. I dreamt this day, and we created this day, and it took a long time, and a lot of hard work, and we're not there yet, and we're gonna keep going. But yeah, I do. It does feel surreal. My grandfather was really humble, and I never ever want to lose that. Humility is really important. They were Danish immigrants, so you know, and our family was ruled on humility. But yeah,
wow,
yeah.
And so, you know, when was that point when you were like a big account closed, or somebody was like, "We want you to come and talk to"? Like, what was that point where it was like, "Oh shit"? It's got real, like at the oh shit moment. There's always that moment when you're like, oh, like I can't believe. Like for me, when the United States Navy reached out to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
Navy's reaching out to me, like what? Like, and we're at their base, and I'm like,
it had to be. It had to be in Davos, the World Economic Forum.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, they asked me to speak in a debate for the New York Times, and so that was amazing, and wall-to-wall reporters and you know, cameras, and I've never been in anything like that. I don't. Maybe it's a flaw, but I won't. It feels good.
You should.
But it doesn't fulfill me. What fulfills me is my purpose, my reason, my why, my kids, my employees, the culture, the smiles, the work-life balance. That fulfills me. And the other things are just a way for me to get the word out that we're doing something pretty special.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the work-life balance.
Yeah.
That's very important.
That is huge. We've had so many former or employees now that came to us that took maybe 2 years of, post-traumatic stress disorder from former employers abusing their relationships with their employees. And the time, it needs to end. Like the tables need to turn. And I think that, the recent change in the market where the employees had a little bit more say was necessary and important. Yeah.
Definitely rebalance things out.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I remember employees just working, and then just working at home, always on.
Yeah.
And never had a moment. I had read something recently, maybe the old Disney, the guy who used to work at Disney, the last CEO, he said, if you can work from home, I can call you anytime or something like that. And it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like he's not here. He's not there anymore. Bob Iger's back.
Right.
But it was kind of like, whoa, like I never want to work with this person,
That's right.
And I always tell people the pandemic showed that people actually can do work from home.
Yes.
And I think sometimes I think the world does things weirdly, but there's a necessary evil for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it showed that humanity can exist.
Did you know production's up by like 22% at home? Yeah,
Wow.
Production is up. Collaboration is down, but production is up. So people are actually working harder. As a matter of fact, I found when I was extended those freedoms as an employee prior to becoming an employer, it became the fabric of my life. My work became the fabric of my life. And I was bought in because I had the freedom to be able to live my life and not have to worry about going to the bank or, going to do something. I was treated like a human being with free will. And that sort of mutual respect for one another in the workplace is absolutely necessary.
Well, it's funny you say that. I had a group of guy friends. We went on a trip, and even though a lot of them work from home, we were out in the country, and these guys jumped on their phones because they're like, we have that balance. Mm-hmm. We owe this to our employer to work a couple hours here. We know they know that we're going here, but we're going to do this because we owe that to them. We're going to do what we got to do, answer emails, take care. And I found that very fascinating because before then, they wouldn't have done that. They were like, I'm done. Ate and skate, done. But they're like, you know what? We're willing to have that work-life balance. And it's funny. We had a company I work with. The person said, I can go make breakfast in the morning and go back to work and come back and really go make my little eggs and bacon and then sit back at the table, eat my breakfast, type my emails, and have meetings.
Yes.
And it's relaxing. It's not stressful. It's not have to be here. We're not robots. I think we're fine. We're not robots.
Not robots, no.
And we have to figure out how to make this work. So I like that your company is doing that, and you guys are really ahead on that angle right now.
Yeah, then people can pick up their kids at 3:00 when they get out of school.
Right.
What happens at 3:00? We're still in work, and the kids are being bused to another place. But we've opened up those possibilities, and I stand firm that we're going to stay in that space and weave our work and home together. Because that's how the world works today. And by the way, that the working world was sort of designed by some, like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and it's not today anymore.
Right.
And so everything is changing.
I agree with you on that. Now, what companies do you guys deal with as far as lighting? Like as far as industrial lighting, do you guys deal with malls, parking lots, new residential halls, apartment complex? Like, who do you guys normally deal with?
We do everything.
Okay.
From K Street law firms in DC to here in, Baltimore, to small restaurants, to schools, to hospitals, Hopkins. We do everything. Yeah. We have residential division, and industrial as well. So, yeah, there isn't anything we can't light.
Okay.
Parks, outside, roads, you name it.
And when I say because I always like to follow you and like the social media, and you always post something like the sunlight in the morning.
Yes.
The light.
Yes.
Why is light so important?
It is it is the thing that connects us. It really is. I'm drawn to it. There's something about your circadian rhythms. If you are to see the colors of the sunrise, it's supposed to, set your circadian rhythm clock. And it is said that if you see a photo of it, it will also do the same thing. So that's why I post them. So I'm not the only one. I'm setting your clocks too.
You are. No, and I thought about that, and I was like, she always posts like the sunrise, and I'm like, huh. What I equate when I see the sunrise is, I woke up another day. I'm on this side of the dirt. I'm on this side of the dirt.
Yeah.
So I've seen the sunlight. Blessings. That's when I see the sunlight.
It's funny because every morning on the way to the gym, I will take the way so I can line up and watch the sunrise as I'm headed into the gym. So it's sort of the long way around. So I run way right for the sunrise like it's a movie every morning. But it does allow me to take stock and be gracious for having that extra day. I try to live in gratitude. Who's perfect at that? I don't know.
Nobody is.
Yeah.
So how many employees work for your total for the companies?
Yeah, I currently have 78 on staff and combined, and so we have just about everything from sales to, and then we have an integration department, so that's our feet on the street. They're on job sites integrating and putting in sensors and things like that, and then our software department is tying it all together.
Now, you guys are located in Maryland and Virginia, correct?
Yes, yes.
You opened a new office, correct?
We just opened a new office,
Okay.
yes, in Richmond, in Scott's Addition, so we're excited about that. We've been down there for a few years, but we just renovated, and it's beautiful, and I'm excited to open that new chapter.
Wow, so you're expanding your footprint.
Yeah.
In the Mid-Atlantic,
Yes.
going a little bit south.
That's correct. Yeah.
Do you find your business more down south a little bit more, or is it more Midwest, East, or like what do you
I would say that the concentration of our business is in Washington, D.C.
Gotcha.
But we thought that Baltimore, we're all, there's a lot of Baltimore natives at our company, and we love the idea of the community and pulling from the talent of the community in Baltimore. So it was a choice whether to go to DC or to stay in Baltimore. And we stayed in Baltimore.
We love you for being here in Baltimore.
Love it.
And are you guys looking for new employees? Are you guys hiring? How's that looking right now?
Yeah. Well, we just hired 30 people, so we're staying the course for now.
Staying the course. Got
yes,
you.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So we had a big hiring spree last year, and we're onboarding everybody, and it's now we're on the streets.
So if I were to ask you, what's the best thing about your companies and people, what? Let me rephrase that. What do you want people to walk away from when they hear this interview about you and your companies? What do you want them to walk away with?
I think I want them to know we have a soul. I think that's important. That it's not just about selling lights or software. It's about connecting people. And we have a greater purpose. And that purpose is connecting people and not leaving people behind. And so I think that's most important to me. Anyone can sell lights.
Right.
But the soul behind it is what makes us different.
I like that. And there's this thing you guys have going on with the Metaverse.
Yes, it's huge.
That is a teaser. I'm looking around the camera. That's a teaser. Because you have to go to the live show for the Metaverse. That, if I wish I could do, I wish maybe my camera guy can do like an explosion in my head. But that's how I feel. Like, the Metaverse. Wow.
Yeah.
That will be a live show.
I can't wait to tell you about it.
Yes, folks. You're going to want to go to that one. That's my teaser. We're not going to talk about it. That's the teaser, the Metaverse. Do you want to say a little teaser about it? Or?
Well, you just have to tell them how you felt when you saw it.
I felt like a kid on Christmas Day.
That's it.
That's it. But before we leave, we're going to do something called a speed round.
Okay.
All right. Ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
Summer or winter?
Oh, summer, hands down.
If you could see anybody in concert, who would you go see?
J-Lo.
If you had a choice to see Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, or Whitney Houston, who would you see? Tough one.
I'd see Prince.
Nice. Prince is my favorite.
Oh, really?
My favorite artist.
Okay, good.
Do you eat seafood?
Yeah, I do.
Crab cakes or crabs?
Crab cakes, because I can't pick them. I'm not a Marylander.
It's all good. It's all good. Now here's a funny one. This always gets a little hectic when I ask this question.
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Oh, you got me.
Don't worry about it. I always ask that question, and always people are like, "What?"
It's funny because I thought maybe I might get that question, and I looked them both up. I was just like, which one did one of them have Nick Lachey?
Yes, which one? You go ahead. NSYNC.
It was NSYNC.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna be NSYNC then, because
Okay.
I watched its show.
You're not gonna do Justin Timberlake?
Oh, yeah.
That's it's NSYNC, right? It's NSYNC? Yeah. And Backstreet Boys, I can't remember who. You want it that way, right? I want it that way.
I totally crashed and burned on that one.
No, you're good. All right. Wings, flats, or drums?
Wings.
What do you want, the flat or the drum? What side? There's two sides of the chicken wing. There's a drumstick side.
I want the flat.
The flat. I'm a flat person.
You're flat.
I'm a love flats. Love flats.
Okay.
What, blue cheese or ranch?
Blue cheese.
All right, we good now.
You and ranch?
I like blue cheese.
Okay, yeah,
ranch.
no.
I hate
Yeah.
ranch.
Okay.
You're off the hot seat now.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
The Metaverse is part 2. You don't want to miss this. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this live show. You don't. Where can we find you guys online, websites, all that good stuff, so we can look you guys up?
www.lightingenvironments.com or www.environments.tech. Find us at either one of those. And don't
Miss Erin,
hesitate to
thank
reach
you
out.
so much.
Thank
Come
you.
to NoPixAfterDark podcast, hanging out. Part 2, folks, is coming up. I'm not going to give you the date. You gotta find out the date of it. But this episode will come out the Monday before we do the live show.
It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. Because my thing is, can't get time back.
No, you can't. That's right.
Love, peace,